What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Buffalo Fanatics Film Session Live. I'm your co-host, Clay Troy, and over here we've got...
Kendall Mursky. How is everyone doing? It's probably a tough one after this loss, but I hope everyone's keeping their spirits somewhat high because AFC is a jumble. It's an absolute jumble.
Yeah, it was... I mean, it's a very disappointing loss, I think, just because of how big it was for the season. And, we were talking about it pretty much all week, and everyone that I talked to kind of felt the same way, where this is a big game, and we need to make it happen. And the Bills just weren't able to do that. So I'm sure we all saw the game. I'm assuming that you were able to watch this one live as well.
I had to race through my shift, but yes, I got to watch the game live. Any chance I have with a slight window to actually watch the game live, I'm doing anything I can to, but sometimes it's just not in the cards.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, I was there live, obviously, again.
Mm-hmm.
So it was there. It sucks sometimes being there live because I can't see replays as well. Anyway, I've got to look up at the Jumbotron in order to see things sometimes. But there's sometimes things that I miss. But even still, I mean, it's pretty easy to see that drops are an issue and that third downs are a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And
red zone.
Red zone. I mean, red zone has just been so strangely difficult for the Bills offense this season, and I don't really understand why. I know the Patriots have a very good red zone defense as well, so that doesn't, that compounds the problem a little bit. But yeah, that the red zone offense, man, it was so disappointing. They had so many opportunities, and I think really the biggest thing for me is usually in close games, it's like, just a bunch of little things that are going wrong throughout the game.
Mm-hmm.
And in this game, it really felt like there were so many things that if just one of these things happened, just one of these things went the Bills' way, the Bills probably win the game. It's a completely different story. And there were so many more of those than I expected to be as I was going through the game, where I was like, damn, if we got that one, we could have done it. If we didn't do this, we could have done it. So
I think that was little things.
Yeah, I think that was the most disappointing part, was just how close the Bills were so many times, and they just weren't able to do it. And that kind of feels like that's been the story of the Bills so far in close games this season. If it's not a blowout, it kind of feels like the Bills are just destined to lose at this point.
Yeah, it has been weird. We haven't been winning the close games this year. I think a big difference is that red zone efficiency, that third down efficiency. But like Sean McDermott talked about it, you just talked about it, like the opportunities the Bills offense had to capitalize in this game, and it just didn't happen. Like you think about, we were gifted the 10 points we got. Like the 7 we got was off the N'Keal Harry fumble off the face mask, and then the 3 we got after that, I mean, whatever you want to call on the Miles Bryant push out of bounds, I don't think it was a penalty at all. I think we were gifted that 3 points.
Mm-hmm.
It got us a lot closer into the red zone. And then, of course, we stalled out and got lucky, and Bass could deal with the wind that time. So, yeah, it was just a really weird game. There was yet again, a missed free play, or seemingly what could have been a free play. And then there's also like the weird sack where Josh just fell in the red zone and he had a chance to get up and make something of it, but ran into Judon. I'm sure I'm forgetting something else in the red zone, but the red zone was just a mess. Like, it was kind of Murphy's Law. Anything that could go wrong will go wrong once we got to the red zone on Monday night. So yeah, there were a lot of little things that just one thing goes right, we're talking about this game a hell of a lot differently. And that's how crazy the weather is going to make games. But I think that's why I'm most disappointed, because I don't know, we're a team that's built to pass the football. And I'm past the point of, I mean, I've talked to you about it, the establishing the run. I mean, what are we doing now at this point? It's just, we kind of just have to trust Josh Allen and act like it's 2020 again, because what run? It's just, we're going to have to run when it's really needed, because if Josh can throw in that weather, he should be throwing. He should just be throwing all the time.
Yeah, and I think there was a little bit of hesitance to just go out and let Josh rip it right from the beginning, because
Right.
I don't know if anyone really knew if he was going to be able to do it, if anyone was going to be able to throw the football, even Josh Allen, in that kind of a win. But I mean, he did a really good job still to be able to throw that ball in that kind of weather. The things that he was doing to kind of work his way through it was really, really impressive. But yeah, I mean, the amount of things just stacked up. You know, we got a few calls ourselves, but it felt like they missed a ton of calls that could have benefited us. You know, that offsides being one of them, the delay of game being one of them, which Pops Mafia mentioned in the chat. It just felt like there was like just so many missed opportunities and so many reasons why we lost that game. So it really hurts. But I'm a very positive person. I'm almost never worried, especially about this Bills team specifically, because we know that they can play at a high level. And the fact that they were only maybe one or two of these weird one-off plays away from winning the football game does make me feel a little bit better, because they played against a really good defense. They played against a really good running offense, and they did so in weather that absolutely sucked, and they should not have been able to compete in when they're a passing offense. And you know, that's I think that's kind of what we saw. The Patriots being able to take advantage of.
Yeah, 100% played into their strengths.
Absolutely. Thank you to everyone who's in the chat already, and we got watching. We got 36 right now. I see some usuals in the chat here. We got Don Handsome, Brian Buck. Thank you for watching the pregame show with me and Rico. That was a lot of fun. Standing out there in 50-mile-an-hour winds. It was a good time.
Yeah, how was it? You think we need a dome or anything? Like, how was being a fan in that?
I'm going to be completely honest with you. I went into that game thinking that I was going to leave that game wanting a dome. And I didn't. Like, I'm still, I've been on the fence about it. I think I'm still on the fence about it, to the point where it's like, I don't care either way, because I was fine. I mean, my toes got a little bit cold, but once halftime came, I went out, took a lap, and came back, and then I was warm again. So, I mean, Josh Allen's probably the only quarterback in the NFL that can throw in that wind, and now we know that he can do it. So that sounds like home field advantage to me. And that's kind of the whole reason you want to keep the stadium open. But yeah, I mean, it was, I really don't have any issue with it. Everyone was having a good time. Buffalo's Buffalo. So don't
embrace it.
Wind, whatever. Josh Allen can throw in all of it, apparently. And maybe if we play a team that isn't as good at running the ball as the Patriots, it's a different story as well. So yeah.
A lot of things added up.
Yeah. So we might as well go ahead and get right into it then. Do you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
You can go first.
All right, I'll go first because we're kind of talking about him already anyway. My MVP of the game was Josh Allen. And I know that a lot of people were, a little bit upset that at Josh Allen's play, and thought that he could have done better and he could have done more. But to me, he exceeded my expectations for what he was even going to be able to do in this game at all.
Same. Yeah.
And he also seemed like the only guy on the field that wanted to win the game at any given moment. Seriously, anyone on the offense, he was the only one to me that really looked like he wanted to win. You could maybe say Gabriel Davis too. I think also kind of had that feel as well. But
I think that's fair. Yeah.
He to me was the only reason that the Bills were even close to winning that game. So he's my MVP. And we're going to look at some of the ridiculous stuff that he can do with his arm in inclement weather in Buffalo, New York. And I'm starting it out with the deep bomb. And please shield your eyes for this next part, because this is just an absolutely perfectly placed pass. 50 yards. What do we got? 55, about 55 yards in the air into 30-mile-an-hour winds. And by the way, when the ball got up higher, the wind is stronger up
Mm-hmm.
higher. So where we were, like down on the field, and you could even look, there's like you could see little wind markers, anything that would be flowing in the wind. Down at the field level, it was never as extreme as it was up higher where like the goalposts were or where the people in the upper deck were. So the higher you got that ball, the worse the wind was. And like you saw it on punts. So if the punt got above, 20 yards in the air, it was done.
Right.
So Josh Allen is throwing into that. And I have really just no idea how, but he actually puts it in the exact place that this ball needed to be to stay where Diggs could catch it and away from McCourty there. And I mean, I really don't think you can ask for much more of Josh Allen. It's a very, very tough catch to make for Stephon Diggs. He's looking over his shoulder. He can't see the ball really, like right here. He just kind of has to guess where it's going to end up, and he guesses wrong. And I think that is something that hurts. This is one of the ones that hurts the most. And this is one of those plays where it's like, if we had that, it's a completely different game, because then maybe Mac Jones has to start throwing the football. And that's really, I think, what the Bills wanted to happen. So, yeah, just for him to be able to do this in that weather, to just drop a dime like that is just crazy.
Yeah, that's really all there is to this. Just the pure arm talent that is Josh Allen. I mean, you can see there's a pylon knocked over. Like no one goes over and kicks over a pylon. Like that's the wind.
Yeah. Yep.
It's windy out there. And I mean, I think there was some right to left on this too. I gotta imagine Diggs is kind of feeling this where he's supposed to look over his inside shoulder and then kind of fade towards the pylon versus fading towards the pylon and almost running like a deep corner route.
Yep.
And that's kind of what the wind did to him. You can see he's trying to locate it, but that's tough. He was moving on that. Like that was just perfectly placed. Like he really had to go as fast as he could. Like you said, it's in between the corner and the safety. It's right where you want it, but given the elements, like I'm not necessarily expecting this play to be made, but boy, like it could have been made.
Yeah. And I think that just is, we all saw it. It's in the air. We see Diggs open and man, but yeah, even no win in a no wind situation, that's still exactly where I want the football to be placed.
Right. Exactly.
Perfectly out of reach of the safety. And it's hard to tell because, by the way, all 22 is not available for those of you who haven't guessed that yet because we're watching the broadcast. Yeah, it's thanks. NFL Game Pass. But even in a no wind situation, this is where I'd want him to put it. And because that there was a high safety in the middle there, maybe they were running cover 3. I don't know. Maybe that's man to man on the outside and it's cover 1. Regardless, that's the spot you got to put the ball, and he puts it there perfectly. So
100%.
Yeah, that one really hurt me to watch multiple times, as I'm doing to you all now.
Everyone hang in there.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be okay, guys. We can make it through. Everyone just take a few deep breaths throughout the show and we should be okay. This night, I wanted the other place I included. I wanted to be, kind of into the wind, but Josh Allen scrambling is something that we didn't see enough of. I would have liked to see more of it, because the speed that he shot out of the pocket on this play, I was like, oh my God, is he going to score? Like he's only got one guy to beat. And if he did beat him, he probably would have scored. Of course that's a very good safety making the tackle there in McCourty, but his ability to scramble, it definitely should have been a talking point, even in the game plan, where it's Josh, if you don't see what you want to see right away, go. Take the ball and run, because that's something that he can do. That's something that he did almost his whole rookie year, really, was if he didn't see what he liked right away, he was just running the ball, and it was working okay. He did a lot of it in 2019 as well, and they made the playoffs that year. So that was just something that I think we're all a little disappointed in the amount of designed runs that were called to Josh Allen, it not being enough. I will say that there was a decent amount of option plays called where Josh could have kept it, but in pretty much every one of those situations, it was a give read. So, and it was the correct read to give. And I think the goal was to stop Josh Allen from running the ball, and the Patriots did a pretty good job of doing that.
Yeah, I'll definitely agree with you. Like, given I don't want to use the word stubbornness, but I'm going to use stubbornness Given the stubbornness of the offense trying to establish the run, especially in a game with this kind of weather, like I can acknowledge, like you probably should run the ball a little bit more than you would otherwise. But when it's not working and you know your best runner is Josh Allen, like at the end of the day, the best runner on this team is Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, I think we can all acknowledge we don't want him taking hits all the time or anything like that. But when he's the best runner and you got to win the game, it's for lead in the division, things like that. Like that's when you take the risk. That's when you take the risk. There are times to save him. There are times when you kind of have to use him just schematically, situationally. It just makes sense. I will echo that the give reads and all that. I would have liked to see more just like straight, almost like he's a wildcat quarterback.
Yeah.
And it's just a clear QB design. We see that a lot against the Jets for whatever reason. I don't know what they see against the Jets, but we like to do that against the Jets. I would have liked to see some of that this game. Kind of what Cam Newton did to us. I just feel like we could have seen a little bit more of that, and we could have got a little bit more run pass.
Yeah, I agree. I really would have. I really would have enjoyed seeing a few more design runs where he doesn't have the option to give at all, because get that guy in space, and he wants it more than anyone else on the field. So
he did. He sure did.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go to this next play, because this is my favorite throw of the day. Because he's throwing the football. This is literally directly into the wind. So the wind was kind of going from, if you heard the announcers, I can't remember which one. I think it was Riddick. Is that who the one announcer was? Anyway, the wind was flowing from, from on our screen here. It was going from left to right, and just a little bit, it was kind of going from, the near sideline to the far sideline, left to right. So from corner to corner is kind of the direction that the wind was generally going. So he's throwing it directly into the wind, and the throw that he is putting up here is just cutting through the air so well, and it's perfectly placed. To understand how much force you need to put on this ball to throw it through the wind like that to get a perfect back shoulder placement is just completely ridiculous to me, because the back shoulder throw is hard enough as it is. And I mean, like the placement really can't get any better than what he did on this throw.
I really don't have much more to add on this. Like, it's crazy. It's just crazy that we have a quarterback that can do something like this. And then a wide receiver to get his toes down in bounds. I was watching this game with some of my college friends that are Pats fans. I went to UMass, and they immediately, there was like, no way he got his toes in. It's just he got his toes in. And they were a little bit ahead of me, and they were like, no way he got his toes in. I was like, you talking about Gabe Davis? It was Diggs. No, this is just a crazy throw and catch though. JC Jackson was good all night, like really good all night. I thought JC Jackson had easily his best game against the Bills in some time. I think he probably established himself against the Bills like a few years back, and then he had some poor games in between. He had a really good game. He had a very good game on Monday night, and I mean, I'd say this is good coverage. It's just better throw and catch. There's not much you can do to defend the back shoulder fade. Yeah,
it's tough, and when it's executed to perfection like that, what are you going to do about it? There's I just because I see people talking about it, I want to address this real quick. Breida's fumbles on Josh. You never hand the ball off to hit the shoulder pads. I'm going to disagree slightly, because yes, the handoff was a little bit high, and as a quarterback, you need to make sure, especially he's a tall guy. Luckily for me, I was a little bit shorter, so I could get it in the breadbasket easier. But you want to hit like upper gut, right, under the shoulder pads, like almost at the belly button. That's where you want to get the football. If you hit the shoulder pads, it can bounce off, sure. But if you're able to, because I didn't put it in here, I really thought about doing it. If you're able to go back and watch what Breida's hands were doing, because it was not correct either. I would say that he was probably more of the problem. I don't know why, but he kind of went. You're supposed to have your bottom arm. I don't know, you guys can't really see. You're supposed to have your bottom arm down here and your top arm up here to give a nice little pocket for where a handoff can go. And for some reason, Breida's underarm he was trying to like grab the ball with his hands almost. And then Josh put it right in his right in his chest, not too far off where it's supposed to be, like he's supposed to, and that bottom arm wasn't there and it bounced off. And yeah, I mean, if you're a QB, you got to take fault for it because you're the QB. But Matt Breida also needs to make sure that he's taking handoffs correctly because that was not correct.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it for me for Josh. Now I'll let you take over and talk about who you liked from that game.
All right. So before I talk about it, I'm starting with the Harris touchdown. I'm sorry, but I'm starting with the Harris touchdown. I don't know how we're not onto this crack toss play yet, but they've been running it against us for like 3 years now. We can't identify when it's coming. And I mean, I understand they're probably running it out of different looks, but like we have to have some sort of knowledge that it's part of their game plan against us because they've done it a lot. So yeah, it's really just simple. N'Keal Harry's just taking the edge guy away, and then it's just speed to the outside. Your tackle is pulling to the D gap around that crack block, and then you just get outside. Luckily, I mean, their fullback had a great day. This Jakob Johnson is slept on as a fullback. He had a really good day, and he took away our linebackers on multiple occasions. The real problem I have on this play, and people will blame Tremaine Edmonds for being out of position, and I can understand that. But on a crack toss, you need someone to get sideline to sideline and take away that outside edge and force them back into the inside of the defense, which is where the rest of the Bills players are. You can see the majority of the defense is over here. The problem is the Patriots have great seal blocks going over on this side, and it's creating a perfect cutback lane. So my issue with this play is Micah Hyde. Unfortunately, I mean, I can understand why he's also supposed to do the same thing, take away that sideline. But when he sees Edmonds in front of him doing the exact same thing, you kind of have to replace that run fill. Obviously, it's a split-second decision. It's a very hard decision to make in game time, but I don't know. To me, I really would have liked to see the safeties playing a little bit more conservative, kind of maintaining those cutback lanes and allowing the linebackers to play aggressive throughout the entire game. And I think we actually hedged on that a little bit. Throughout the game, I noticed they had Edmonds where he's going wide on this. A lot of the perimeter runs that they had, where Edmonds is going wide on this, they had Edmonds cut back straight inside and take away that cutback lane and almost get on the inside shoulder of Jakob Johnson. And it opened up a lot of the perimeter. So it's like no matter where you slice this, you're giving up a hole for the running back, and it's really just up to vision and cutback ability. And all the Patriots running backs had it that night. So
yeah. To me, it's an extremely unfortunate play call. Jordan Poyer's blitzing on the wrong side, which takes away that other safety that would have been there to be able to fill that hole in the first place. And, maybe that's why Micah Hyde overcommitted to the outside. I have a little bit of an issue with Milano also overcommitting, although I know he's getting blocked. But I would also like to mention that this play was a perfectly run play by the New England Patriots. And I don't think that there was a single play that I can think of where all 11 members of the Buffalo Bills offense had a perfect play. And I think that was kind of what it came down to as, why this play happened and why this play was the difference in the game, because the Patriots managed to run a perfect play and the Bills were never able to do that. Even on the touchdown that they had, the line didn't even need to be there except for the center, really. You could have put wide receivers there because all they had to do was touch those guys once, and Josh Allen had the ball out into Gabe Davis's hands. So, that just really hurts to watch an offensive line be so dominant and then have to watch ours again.
Yep. Well put. Can't argue with that. To all those in the chat, talking about Tremaine Edmonds. We all know where we all stand, Clay and I, on Tremaine Edmonds. I will say he didn't have his best game, but I don't think you can blame this entire game on Tremaine Edmonds. I feel like people are trying to find scapegoats. I will definitely agree he could have played better, but like this is I don't know. This is just a tough assignment for him. I understand like There are people saying like Edmonds is not a middle linebacker. People would like to see him on the outside. And I would agree with that if we ran more like base personnel, like true 4-3, and we had 2 outside linebackers. But we also don't have a middle linebacker replacement. So he's our middle linebacker. We kind of just have to get used to it. I would like to see him play in more of like an Isaiah Simmons role where he is a true tweener and he can rush off the edge. He can play middle linebacker if he has to. He can guard people in the slot, but he's a touch less athletic or that's not the right word. He's a touch less quick twitchy. Isaiah Simmons is quick twitchy where he can do all 3 of those things. Edmonds kind of just has the frame and the long speed. He's not as quick twitchy, and it kind of gets him in trouble sometimes. So don't lose your hope on Tremaine Edmonds. He's kind of, I don't know. I feel like the Patriots know how to attack Tremaine Edmonds. I feel like they understand that this is not his bread and butter. He's more the east-west kind of guy. And if you can get on him quick, like they had their guards getting to the second level on every run. They were really, really deliberate about getting their guards to the second level. And
can you pause this play? Go ahead. Can you just pause it like right at the beginning? I just want to see the alignment of the defensive tackles here. Ed Oliver's in the 1 tech for some reason. Harrison Phillips is in the 3 tech for some reason. I don't understand that. And then also Ed Oliver, in a game like this, every defensive lineman, every interior defensive lineman, it needs to attack with the mentality that you need to hit 2 guys. And Ed Oliver doesn't do that here. And that should have been the mentality from the first snap, is to hit 2 guys. You can't let them just get away that cleanly to Tremaine. I mean, look at 67 or 57. I don't know who the hell he is. Look how cleanly he's able to get to the second level and take Tremaine Edmonds completely out of the play. Which is an issue that we've seen with Tremaine Edmonds. If a guy gets in his face, sometimes he has trouble being able to shed that block. So you can't just let the guy get there like that. And I know Ed Oliver wants to make plays himself, but this was not the type of a game where the interior defensive line should have been making plays like that. They should have been doing it by hitting as many offensive linemen as they can and slowing them down and freeing up the linebackers. So that is another issue that I had with this, and especially that alignment. I mean, what the hell are we doing putting freaking Ed Oliver in the 1 tech? And
I will say,
Phillips in the 3.
I thought Phillips actually had a sneaky good game.
Phillips, I actually do think, had a pretty good game as well. Starr was disappointing at times. He got pushed back 3-4 yards on some of the plays in one-on-one blocks. That was pretty disappointed.
Oh, delusional Pats fan is back. I love it.
Yes, he's back.
All right, so although, we just kind of poo-pooed how Matt Milano did on that play. It was tough for me to pick an MVP, but I was really determined to pick a defensive MVP, and Matt Milano did figure it out towards the end. He had those back-to-back TFLs, which I'll bring up, but he was pretty good throughout the entire game. He was good with his run fits. It's just, every now and again, like I said, I feel like the entire Bills defense was adjusting to how the Patriots were attacking, and at first it was overcommit and kind of make sure you're still in that run fit, but don't shoot the gap. Just stay in the run fit and make sure you're forcing a cutback. And then at a certain point, we dialed it back, and it's like, okay, let's make sure we take away that comeback. And then they have the outside. And then at the end, it was like, okay, just shoot the gap. So given the fact that we had to be so malleable on defense in what we were doing in terms of defending them and defending the run, I'd argue the linebackers were sufficient. Nothing more, nothing less. They were sufficient. And that's probably part of the reason we lost, but not the whole reason. It's just a piece of the puzzle. But I really like how he navigates through the trash on this play. He's sitting right there in the middle. I don't know if they identified him as the Mike or not, but he's sitting right there in the middle. And there's just a bunch of duo blocks up there in the middle. They're just trying to create a scrum, and he just navigates his way around it and finds the little crack and finds the same one that the running back takes, and he gets a nice lick on him. So I thought this was a nice patient play by him kind of early on in the game, where this is what he was being asked to do, be patient and sit in the run gaps. And he did it perfectly on this one.
Yeah. Not much else to say. The patience and the vision was really good. I can't say that the patience and vision was good for the linebackers on every play. Sometimes they did get a little bit antsy and jump into the gaps a little too fast. those are the plays that broke open a little bit. But before we get into it, too much more, I do want to say that a lot of people are mentioning the yards total from this game that the New England Patriots had on the ground, and you need to stop because they ran the ball 46 times. If someone threw for 46 throws and only got like 220 yards, we'd be very happy with that. And I know that running is different, but when the team is basing their entire offense around running the football, that's not a bad per play average of what you're giving up. And, the one, like I said, the Patriots ran a perfect play on their touchdown. And, one of our guys did not. A couple of our guys did not. So beyond that play, the Bills really played very well, I think, against the run, at least above my expectations of what I thought they were going to be able to do when they kept on running. And I know that there were times where they were getting 12-yard runs, 15-yard runs, and things like that. It really wasn't as bad as it seemed. It was just they ran the ball so much that the sample size made it feel a lot worse than it was.
So once again, I see this here. It's funny because we're probably going to be interacting with the we're probably going to be interacting with the chat a lot. I said it early, like he's my MVP because I was being stubborn and trying to pick someone on the defense, and I didn't feel like the defensive line did a good enough job. I will acknowledge someone put it in there. Pops Mafia. Yup. Harrison was literally the other guy that I was thinking of. Like it was between Matt and Harrison Phillips. But I went with Matt Milano because I really think the way the Patriots played and how they tried to get to the second level quickly, it put our linebackers in a bind. And it was honestly genius to take Teron Johnson off the field by Bill Belichick as much as he did and force Terrell Dodson onto the field. It really put our linebackers in a bind in this game, and I think they did a sufficient job. And given the amount of times that they were put in a bind, I'd argue they did all right. I think, obviously, I don't know. We talked about it at the beginning in the lead-in where, hey, if we're scoring one more touchdown, we're talking about this game a hell of a lot differently. So yeah, let's just all take it with a grain of salt. And this is kind of the play where I was alluding to earlier where they clearly make an adjustment. Like both linebackers are flowing downhill quickly. They are selling out for the run. They are like, screw it. We're not even going to sit back and expect that there's any semblance of a pass play coming. And you see how it can yield results. It's a shame this adjustment wasn't made earlier. And that's why I'm not blaming Matt Milano or Tremaine Edmonds for their play in the first half and any yards they gave up there. Like, yes, players make mistakes, but they have to be put in a position to succeed. And I don't think they were throughout the entire game. That goes for the defense and the offense, but you can see he's put into a position to succeed. And he does it on this play perfectly, and he does it on the next play as well. So we'll get to that one. But Clay, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's perfect. Get in the hole. You see it opening up. He knows what's coming because of it. It's a great play. And then to meet him back there in the backfield and make the tackle. That was something that I will say was an issue with the Bills defense was tackling on Monday night. They missed way, way, way too many tackles. Agreed. And that was something that was very noticeable and definitely made it feel worse, made that the defense as 100%. A whole feel worse because they were missing those tackles. So to get in there, make the tackle. And this was on a drive where the Patriots were really just driving it down the field, no problems. They could not be stopped, and Matt Milano made a statement play there, so it was really important.
And he comes back and makes another, and that's really why I was so upset to see this adjustment made so late. And I think Dan puts it well, like they need to adjust after the first drive, like Bill Belichick does. Like I that's actually one of my complaints with this team. I think we wait too long to make our adjustments when we very well know that we could make the adjustment. It would just be a little bit more risky to get out in front of it. And they made the adjustment too late on offense and on defense. And it really left us to one drive to capitalize. And you see, this is a very similar play to the last one. It's just, okay, pulling guard. I'm going to go straight through that gap that the guard was pulling from. And he shoots the gap and he makes the play. He doesn't actually make the tackle. And it's funny, you were just talking about all the broken and missed tackles. Stevenson was an absolute monster. But yeah, he breaks that tackle, but because he got there, he made the play and then allows, Tremaine Edmonds and Harrison Phillips get in there and actually get the TFLs. But yeah, this play was made by Matt Milano. So yeah, while he might not be everyone's MVP, totally understandable. I think the linebackers were put in a tough position. I think they played serviceably.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. And, to an extent, of course, because the Patriots played really well. They had heavy sets in most of the game. They had 2 tight ends on the field a lot of the game. Sometimes they had 2 tight ends and an extra tackle on the field and a fullback. Like, Jesus, man. I mean, I think what I just mentioned was way too many players to be on the field at the same time. But you get what I'm saying. They put in a heavy set a lot. Yeah. I do want to bring up this question or this comment really quick. Klein would have been the MVP if not for COVID. And, maybe he wouldn't have been the MVP, but I think Klein, not having him, it really did hurt because Klein's good against the run. And he's good when he's playing downhill and he's attacking. He's very, very good at that. And, I've been an echo chamber about that for a little bit now. So I do think that hurt because I think he actually could have really contributed to that run defense.
I actually thought Dodson played all right. He definitely made mistakes, but he played all right. Every time he gets time, I'm always surprised, I guess, by how he does. Pleasantly surprised. But yeah, he's Klein is still probably better.
I love comments like this. It's really funny to me. If Harris wasn't hurt, he would have scored again.
Yeah,
okay.
on that
maybe
that outside.
I don't know.
Yeah,
if AJ Klein wasn't hurt, maybe we win the game. Like, it's you guys still won, so relax. Also, I want to bring this one up too, just real quick. The Bills are 7-5. Of course, fans are going to be upset, and I'm going to stop right there because come on, we're 7-5 and we're upset. Like, I get it because of the expectations that have been set for this team from last year's season, but any other season other than 2020 or later, we would have been so happy with 7-5 at this point in the season. Now, obviously, we would like to still be in first in the division, but 7-5 right now is not terrible, especially given the the layout of what the AFC is like right now. So once again, that's another reason why I'm really not that worried. But yes, I do, and a lot of things have gone wrong too. And that's what makes it even crazier is that we're 7-5 and a lot of things have gone wrong. So I'd say that we're in a decent spot for all the shit that we've had to run through.
Yep.
Anyway, let's move on to the LVPs. Let's talk about who we didn't like. And there were a lot. There were a lot of people that we could have chose from. Honestly, I wanted to pick people on the offense because I think the offense was the reason that the Bills lost the game. I think the defense did as much as they could have. If the Bills offense had scored more points in the red zone, then Mac Jones would have had to throw the football and the Patriots would have lost, which is also the only reason why I want a dome is because I think Mac Jones would have thrown more and that would have been better for the Bills. But anyway, my LVP is Darrell Williams, and he wasn't I don't know. It's hard for me to say. He wasn't necessarily like the worst offensive lineman on the day. I think every one of them, except for maybe Dawkins, had their fair share of bad plays where it was like, a real roll your eyes, put your face in your hands type of a play. But to me, Darrell Williams was the one who was just the least fortunate in when he decided to make those mistakes and how it affected the game. So this one here, this one's earlier on in the game. I think this is, mid second quarter at this point. But it's in the middle of the field. And Josh has time to look around a little bit, and even he maybe would have been able to scramble if he had a little bit of extra time. But Darrell Williams, and we'll show the other angle here so you can see a little bit better. Darrell Williams right here, decent start. He gets help from Spencer Brown. But like, what the hell is he doing with his hands after that? He's not doing anything. It's like he gets popped and then he tries to go in and re-engage. And who is that? Is that
no, that is someone who was elevated off the practice squad for the game.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Just so we all
it's not
understand.
even Christian Barmore. It's not Gotcha or
he had a game.
He had a great game. Yeah. But yeah, it's not even him. It's someone worse than that, and he just swipes Darrell Williams' hands away, and he's able to get the sack here. And like I said, if that doesn't happen, I think Josh has a little bit of space to be able to run the ball, and we can see it here from the other angle. There's Darrell Williams right here. Josh wants to step up and run right here, and he's got a lane right down this hash mark here. If Darrell Williams can just instead of losing, push his guy over a little bit that way. And then instead, we maybe get a first down. If that's not the first down marker, that's the original line of scrimmage. So yikes. Yeah.
It's just that kind of film session.
Yeah, but Darrell Williams, I mean, that's an inexcusable play where he barely even got his hands on the guy.
Yeah, I've said it before and I'll say it again. He is a shell of himself from last year. Obviously, he's been very hit or miss his entire career. He's been very inconsistent. Yeah. He's had good seasons. He was an All-Pro, and then he had like a 2.5-year skid, and then he came to us and he played like an All-Pro, and then there's this year. So it's so tough watching this. Like, he's been beaten looking lazy and unathletic on multiple occasions this year. And last year he just looked so like quick on his feet. He could just get he could get anywhere, get good positioning where like the hands were just kind of natural because he was in perfect position. And now he's just kind of swiping all over the place, getting lost in the sauce. I don't even know. It's been a rough go of it for Darrell Williams this year. I can acknowledge, the whole Cordy Ford treatment where it's like, oh, am I a right tackle or a right guard? But like, this guy's a vet. Like, he's played both positions in this league for probably 5 years now or whatever. I don't know. I was expecting more from him this year, and getting beat to a team like this is tough.
Yeah, and there's really not much more to say about that, to be honest. Moving on to the second play, and this one, this is on a third down when the Bills are driving toward the end zone. I think this might have been the fast field goal drive here. But the Bills are driving toward the end zone with the wind at their backs, just like you want. And I'll try to circle Darrell Williams. Darrell Williams is not this outside guy here. That's Spencer Brown. But he's the second helmet in on the offensive line here. And this is Barmore, who is having a very good season. Wish we had the opportunity to draft him ourselves.
Yeah, it's funny. We don't need to go there.
Yeah. But anyway, it's because of the penetration though that Barmore is able to get on Darrell Williams on this play. I mean, it might be a different story because sure, you've got Zach Moss having to take a linebacker because there's an extra rusher free. I would not expect him to be able to hold it. Josh didn't either, so that's fine. His clock in his head was fine on this play, but he has to escape backward because of the penetration here, and that pretty much ruins the play because now he has to run backward, and then he's running sideways, almost still backward, trying to throw the ball down the field. The pass was inaccurate. I can't really blame Cole Beasley for not catching this because it would have been a friggin' amazing catch. So yeah, if he's not there, sure, you've got Udon there, who's probably about the only guy that can make the play at that point. But if Josh just runs that ball himself, if he's able to escape, laterally and get a little bit of yards going up the field at the same time, he would have either been able to square his shoulders to who he's trying to throw to, or he would have been able to take it himself and maybe run all the way into the end zone. So frustrating. Obviously it's not a game-breaking play, but it's third down, and that's the difference between 3 points and 6.
Yeah, this has kind of been like the story of the season where it's kind of him reacting to the pressure in front of him. And it just, I don't want to say it looks like him reverting to like 2019 Josh or anything like that, but it kind of just feels like reverting to 2019 pass protection where he just kind of feels that skittish, but it's not undeservedly so. Like he kind of should be skittish. He at a certain point kind of should be seeing ghosts. Like he's been pressured all year, and remarkably, he has less sacks through this point in the season this year than last year. So, I mean,
it's because of things like this where he's able to escape. He's able to get the ball out still. It's just, it's not usually a productive play. It's just not an unproductive play.
Right. Yeah. He's been getting better at it. This could have been, looping around in the backfield and still trying to make a play of it, but he's quick about it. It's just like, okay, roll out, make the throw. This is the only thing I got right here. And you're right. It's because of the diagonal path backwards into the right instead of forwards into the right, or just laterally to the right. Like this is the worst of all three of those options. So yeah, he's kind of forced into making that throw, and he almost made it.
Yeah, and so I mean, like, on this play specifically, I don't think he left the pocket too soon.
No,
But there
no.
were other plays in this game where if he just hung in there for just a second longer, a split second longer, and was able to look at his second read and maybe get the ball off and take a hit in the pocket, I think he would have been able to get a few more completions in key moments. But like we said, it's hard to. It happens very fast, and it's hard to blame him for wanting to get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Last play. Oh God, sorry, this one hurts really bad. Last play. This is in the red zone. This is the second to last drive of the game. And this is the play where Josh Allen trips over, his own blocker, who, by the way, Tommy Sweeney was an absolute liability blocking
Yeah, he was
in this
not good.
game. I haven't paid enough attention to his blocking. I don't ever remember it being very good. But Tommy Sweeney coming across, trying to block here, that's bad. That's Udon that he's trying to block. And then Darrell Williams just getting pushed back. Wow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He is 6 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And Josh just got off his first read. So I like the play call was weird. This was after the timeout that they took, which was on second down. And then the play that they came up with was a Jake Kumaro whip route.
Oh yeah.
Not a fan of that play call at all. That being said, throw the ball right here and it's probably a touchdown. I think he thought about it, but now there's a hand in his face because Darrell Williams is there where he should not be. And then he has to escape. Like we said before, Tommy Sweeney's there, and that's the story of that one. I think this a field goal attempt that Bass missed.
I think this is the field goal attempt that missed.
By the way, that's another one of the things. That field goal miss was very close into the wind, and I think it probably missed. It went, 1 foot right of the upright. So, ouch. This one probably hurt the most for me.
Yeah, this was similar to like that delay of game for me.
Yeah.
Much different, but it was a similar feel for me. Honestly, the thing I have an issue with this play, it's funny how we talk about LVPs on the O-line. And then I just start talking about Josh Allen when we're talking about LVPs on the O-line. But I feel like Josh doesn't pull the trigger enough. And like, the saying, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I feel like he's getting himself in trouble by not taking the shot and throwing it to Kumaro there. Like, it's not high percentage, but what's high percentage in this wind? What's high percentage in this game? Like, we're scraping for every yard we can get as is. Running around in the pocket or leaving the pocket and trying to improvise in a game like this is going to be even harder than it already is in normal games. So just take the on-script throw, even if it's low percentage. Like, you have the arm strength to put it on that pylon where only Kumaro can get it and no one else. And if he doesn't get it, it's an incompletion. And so be it, you move on to the next play. And I mean, if this wasn't a sack, then we see that field goal go in. And then we don't have to score a touchdown on our final drive. We just have to score a field goal. And play calling changes. So, yeah, this all started with Darrell Williams.
Yeah. And I think, one of the things that upsets me is Jake Kumaro is not the whip route guy. Cole Beasley, Stephon Diggs, and Emmanuel Sanders, all three of them are whip route guys.
Yes.
Jake Kumaro is throw it high and into the end zone, and he will outjump you guy. That's who Jake Kumaro is. So the fact that they did this instead of that, also, we don't have the all-22. I think Dawson Knox was kind of open here. There might be a guy in the throwing lane. Number 8 there kind of looks like he's getting himself there at least. So by the time Josh even got off the first read, he was screwed. So
yeah. All
right. Who's yours?
Oh, it's me. It's my turn. All right. I'm doing a rookie spotlight because I wanted to think positively about the future. So we're looking at Greg Rousseau, who had a pretty good game. The 3 plays I pulled were like really the only plays that were big splash plays. There might have been a 4th actually, but outside of that, he was just doing his job. There wasn't much exciting to it, but he was just in the right spot. He was doing the right stuff. So on this one and the next one, he's winning against the tight end, which is literally what you have to do as a defensive end. If you're on a tight end, you have to win that one-on-one. That is your assignment if you end up getting matched up on that tight end. and he manhandles Jonnu Smith here. That's a mismatch. I mean, I'm pretty sure Jonnu's like 6'2". I imagine he has short arms. We know Greg Rousseau is a long man. So yeah, this is just a good matchup for him. You can see him use the long arms and get the separation at the point of attack. And because of that, he's able to shed and make the play and two gap a tight end, which is overpowering your man. I mean, that's what you want from your defensive end. Not much more to it. Yes, it's a 4-yard gain. You'd like to see it be a little bit less than that, but like, come on, he made the play on a day where there's 44 rush attempts or whatever there were. This is a good play by the defense.
Yeah, he was on fire all day. Even watching it, you know, from the stands there, you could just see him eating on run defense all day. That's what he's best at. I think he's the best run defending defensive end that the team has at the moment. So whenever they ran it to him, it didn't go well. And that was noticeable. And I'm looking up the snap count right now to see how many snaps Jerry Hughes had, because I would like to be mad about something.
Please tell me if it's top 4. If he's top 4, I'm not going to say I'm going to get mad, but if he's like top 2, I'll get mad.
Right.
It doesn't really make sense. All right, we'll get to the next one here. The next play I have a good angle for, thankfully. You know, we played on ESPN on Monday Night Football. But so on this first one, same thing. Tight end, Hunter Henry, he's all over him. He sets the edge perfectly and sheds from the block because of that length. This is a little bit different than the Jonnu matchup, because I'm pretty sure Hunter Henry and Rousseau are probably like within 2 inches of each other. I'm sure their arm length is pretty similar, but you can see it's good hand placement there, like right on the shoulder pads, and he's keeping his chest plate clean. I don't think Henry's hands are really even touching him at this point right here. Like there's his arms are too long. Like he's keeping himself clean, even though he's not in a position where normal people keep themselves clean. So does a good job there where he's setting the edge and then he sheds it perfectly and makes the play. So really impressive to see our rookie doing non-rookie things, which is, once again, like I said earlier, looking forward to the future.
Yeah, the dude's a beast. I just can't wait for him to get better in pass rushing as well, because I think he has such potential to be amazing there.
Still, yeah.
And like he has mastered the run defense and setting the edge and being able to do so at a consistent rate. So like, yeah, if he can figure out how to really, you know, establish himself as a pass rusher too, yeah, he's going to be an issue for a long time, which is really exciting.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so we'll get to this last Rousseau play, and this is also like kind of a Milano play, but it's him just kind of getting into the scrum in the middle, and this is, I mean, what the Patriots like to do. They like to run those duo blocks and just really just manhandle everyone in the middle, and then let the running back find, if there's a hole in the middle of all of it, go for it. You got it. Just take the 4 or 5 that you can get, or bounce it outside, and there's a lot more to it because there's just a scrum in the middle. But you see Rousseau once again using his strength and length. You see that stray long arm in this scrum. Let me see if I can pause it. One stray long arm in the middle of this scrum here, and he's keeping himself clean again and shutting the block, making the play in the run game. It's really great how good he's been in the run. I don't think, we weren't expecting this when we did our initial Greg Rousseau, his film session on his like scouting report, so to speak. We thought he was going to be a little more refined of a pass rusher just because of that length and the ability to just kind of like, I don't know, manhandle left tackles and use that length long. And those shoestring tackles that he had on Kenny Pickett and all that stuff. Yeah. That's not there yet, but it's still available to be tapped into. It's really nice that this part is still there because, obviously we know DVOA, whatever, top 5, whatever we are in pass defense, but not so much in run defense. So we'll take whatever we can get in the run defense department. Oh, also, Milano, love his nastiness on this play. Because not many people were bringing nastiness on this defense the other night, and he really brought it to Shaq Mason there. Not saying I'm promoting violence or anything, but like we need to get a little bit more nasty on defense.
We need something, man. We needed something that game. There was a little bit of chippiness too. There were a couple of
Oh
times
yeah,
when guys were getting in each other's faces. Even Emmanuel Sanders was fired
I
up.
saw
I
that.
thought that was crazy because like
Yeah,
he
he was
doesn't
fired
really
up at
seem
Jalen
like
Mills.
that kind of a
Yeah,
guy, but he was moving his mouth. I
yeah.
loved it. So
All
yeah,
right,
I
we
mean,
can get to your last one.
yeah. My last one here is something that I originally wanted to talk about because I thought that he was. I even tweeted it out after the game. I thought he was a big issue. He was one of the guys that really let the team down. And that's Dawson Knox. But after going through it and watching it and really looking at those plays where I was like, did he do everything that he could? Could he have done anything better? So I think, he definitely could have done better still in a lot of these, but I do think that he's kind of a scapegoat for offensive issues.
Yes.
Um, and we're gonna go. We're gonna look at him. We're
I'm
just
so
gonna look at
glad you
why.
pulled the 180 on this. I'm so I
Yeah,
was in this boat and I was just kind of
yeah.
waiting and hoping that you would be in this boat too, and then you pulled the
Yeah,
180 on me.
and
It's
so
great.
this is really the one play that's inexcusable that I
Yes,
have on here. The other one I
100%.
will say was the false start, which is absolutely fucking inexcusable. When you're in the red zone and you're on the last drive of the game, you can't do that. I don't he just lost his balance while standing still. I don't know if it was a gust of wind or what, but that is completely inexcusable to do. And it was a drive killer. It turned what, a 3rd and 9 into a 3rd and 16 that you have to, or that's not right. 3rd and
14. You got it, kid.
14. Yeah, I can do math. But anyway, you just can't do that. This play is the other one where you can't do that. This was a 3rd down on, I think, the first drive. Was this the first or second
I
drive of the
think it
game?
was the first drive. Yeah.
And he's got space to run after he catches this ball, if he catches it. Once again, Allen's throwing with wind. So yeah, it's moving fast and he's got to throw it fast because, he can't just let it sail and let the wind do what it wants with it. And sure, it's away from his body. It's out in front of him. And that is 0% of an excuse because an NFL tight end should be able to catch the ball away from his body. I actually think this ball is perfectly placed to run after catch. All he has to do is catch the ball, and he didn't break momentum. He's got the ball now, and he can continue upfield where he had a decent amount of space. He definitely gets a first down, maybe a lot more. So that was the first kind of play where I was like, you can't do that.
You can go on to the next one. I want you to keep going on your ranks.
Okay.
I fully agree.
That's fine. Yeah. So the next play here, a lot of shit going on in this play. First of all, I think this is another Darrell Williams low light. It's not. Okay. you have some you want to talk about, but we'll get to that in a second. So first of all, Josh Allen, I love that he sees this opening and goes for it. And then he gets his eyes back up. Love this play from Josh Allen. He also throws a freaking dart through the wind. And then Dawson Knox drops the ball. Now,
good use of air quotations.
It was it in his hands? Yeah. Did he have it securely in his hands at any point? Not really.
That was fingertips catching. Like if he was clean, he'll come down with it once he hits the ground. But
this is actually a really good defensive play by Phillips, who had a few really good defensive plays. He not only gets his hand on the ball, but he comes down with the full weight of his body into the ball. And Dawson Knox, like we said, he did not have a super strong grip on that ball, and he's already falling to the ground. So this is a really tough catch to make. Obviously I'd like him to do anything different to try to make it because he's a big, strong tight end who should be able to, make a play like that. So it's disappointing that he's not able to make that in traffic, but it's really hard for me to fault him and just look at the speed in real time. I mean, that happened really fast that Phillips got his hand in there. And really, I just think it was a fantastic defensive play from him to stick with Dawson like that and then to get his hand on the ball.
See, now this is why I'm glad you did the 180, because I think people saw this play, might not have seen the replay, but either way, they wanted to scapegoat Knox. They were like, oh, the drops are back. Like, you got to be kidding me. When we need it most, the drops are back. The first one, like you said, inexcusable. We have to give credit where credit is due, even when it's the Patriots. This is a great play. It is a bang bang play, and the defense made the play. Like, this is how you break on the ball and have great ball skills. Like, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure Adrian Phillips is used as their like quasi linebacker when they're in like dime or nickel or something like that. This isn't his bread and butter, and
Yeah.
he did a great job on this play. So got to give the credit where credit is due. Kind of off note, how
Oh, you want me to go back?
no.
Oh, okay.
Stay on the replay and
Okay.
go like right when he gets touched. Technically, is he down with possession? Like right
No,
here? No, because
there's
he never
no time
has
to make there's no
possession.
time to make a football move in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is where I'm like so wishy-washy on the catch rule where it's
Yeah.
like,
I mean,
like, it's
if we
secured
go
and his
back and
ass is on the ground and then he gets
Yeah.
touched.
I mean, if we watch that in real time, there's no time to make a football move there, and not one that has been done. So yeah.
I'm grasping at straws.
Yeah. Anyway, Spencer Brown did have a good rep on this play as well. I know you wanted to mention that because he was.
Yeah, we'll get to it. It'll be
yeah,
segue.
Yeah. There you go. Anyway, we're gonna keep going. To the real crusher. This was the Darrell Williams bad play. We can see him here getting beat. So he's the first guy in pressure. Josh Allen. Come on, man. This is just he's a kid on a playground. You can't stiff arm defensive linemen when you're a quarterback like that. That should not be allowed.
I don't know, Clay. Skip Bayless told me that Josh Allen's not that guy, and he's the reason we lost. So
yeah, well,
clearly plays like this show that.
Yeah, well, Skip Bayless is very smart. So obviously we should all listen to him and hate Josh Allen now. But no, this play by Josh Allen is completely, once again, ridiculous. And then he throws another dart into the wind to Dawson Knox, who once again is covered very well by Adrian Phillips, who makes a nice play and gets his hand on the ball. You can see it better from this angle, where he just at the end there gets a hand in.
That's
and
a
knocks
great
it.
effort by Knox to work back to the ball there. Like, that's borderline OPI. Like, what else do you want from him to get to that ball? Like, I don't think. Yeah. Like, I see you saying that that's pass interference. Like, I mean, technically, maybe you could call it either way. You really could. I could see a ref being like, okay, he kind of has his neck turned looking at the ball, Adrian Phillips, that is, but you're totally squared on the tight end. Like, that's DPI. But at the same time, Knox is working straight through him. They both have equal right to the football. I'd go either way on this. I'm fine with it not being called, honestly. I think it's just a good play from everyone involved.
Yeah. The one thing I will say that I didn't like from Dawson Knox is that he didn't work back sooner. Josh Allen's running to the outside, run to the outside with him. Or come back to the quarterback. Those are the two things that you need to do. And the other thing that I want to say about this play that really, really pissed me off, and I don't know if we can see it from this angle or not, is the effort that we got, or I guess I should say that we didn't get from Stephon Diggs on this play, was really, really disappointing because this is not touchdown or nothing. There's still 3 yards between the first down marker and the goal line where you can still get a first down from this point. So you don't have to throw it into the end zone. You can throw it, like not past the sticks. Stephon Diggs, by the way, was the intended receiver over the middle on this play had Darrell Williams not completely fucked it up. But right now, I don't know what Stephon Diggs is doing. He's just standing still in the middle of the field. He's not running with his quarterback. I mean, sure, J.C. Jackson's right there, but run with your quarterback. If he starts running, as soon as Josh bails out, because Diggs sees it, I didn't put it in the whole play, but he sees him in trouble starting to roll out, and right now he needs to plant and cut back to the outside. Sure, are you running into the guy on this side a little bit? Yeah, but who cares? Get yourself open and get yourself available to your quarterback, and he doesn't do that. I think if he runs through here, he might be able to get himself into Josh's vision and get the ball thrown to him. If he gets that ball thrown to him on the 10-yard line, he's only got a few to go to get the first down and maybe even a touchdown. So I hated that effort from Stephon Diggs, and I was very disappointed to see that because it's not very like him to not go with the quarterback and follow the quarterback on a broken play
Yeah,
like this.
you're right.
So that was something that really pissed me off. And then, Dawson Knox not coming back to the football, which would have definitely, I think, forced a defensive pass interference if he just tried to come back to the football and wasn't able to because he's got a guy hanging on him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this was one of the ones where both of those plays with Dawson Knox and Adrian Phillips, it's a game of inches because
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Adrian Phillips just played really good defense and got his hand on the ball, boxed him out in this case in the end zone. Yeah. So yeah, I do think Dawson Knox was a little bit of a scapegoat. Although he could have played them better, I don't think he played them terribly. You can see it really, really good from that angle. I forgot I left that one in there. Look at this. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with all of it. I think Knox absolutely could have been better as with a lot of Bills players on Monday night, but I really it was a team effort losing that game. We can't scapegoat one person, one coach, we can't do that. We can't get into that habit because that's how you get into the nature of the drought and start replacing people for being inadequate for a couple of downs or whatever. Get into the cut him. He did something bad. Like,
Fire McDermott.
Yeah,
he sucks.
We can't do that. Like
I hate.
We can all acknowledge that McDermott didn't do a good job managing that game or setting up the game plan for that matter, but we can acknowledge that and move forward. It doesn't have to be he's not it. Like he's not going to take us where we need to go because he still has that chance. But all right, I'm gonna finish up with the Spencer.
Yeah, let's finish on more of a brighter note anyway.
Yeah, so I do have some negative plays in here, but this is him right here inside of Dawson Knox. But there are some positive things to grab from this. This is like one of the first runs of the game. And I'll give you the silver lining at the tail end, but he just gets beat at the point of attack by Godshaw. He gets too wide on it, and Godshaw does a nice like inside step just right off the bat, kind of sees the line flowing to the right, and he just gets on the inside shoulder of Brown. And at that point, the leverage battle's lost in terms of the zone run. The leverage battle is lost, and he's inside the block and into the backfield. Silver lining is we've seen this all year. Spencer Brown loves to push his running backs. He loves to push his running backs, and honestly, this was a loss of 2. And he makes it a net 0. So
yeah,
silver lining.
Yeah. He definitely, that was one of the ones I saw early where I was like, damn. But it was, I guess, whatever. It's, it was early in the game, and he did end up kind of, making amends for it, which we saw, Deion Dawkins do against the Saints as well. So, yeah, it was definitely one of those ones where it's just a little bit of a head scratcher, but I just don't think he was prepared for that inside move, and that dude that he's going against is a big man. So,
Yeah. Godshaw's very, he's very quick for his size. That's kind of what we need to find in our future one tech, someone who's got that strength and speed combo, but we'll get there. We're not at the off season yet. We still got some games to play. All right. So we got Spencer Brown here, right tackle once again. Play as he was for a lot of the game. I don't have much wrong with this play. I think he did a pretty good job anchoring. I guess some of this can go on to Josh being skittish, but I think he has every right. The pocket is collapsing. But he does get pushed back. Like this is 7 yards of getting pushed back until you anchor, which isn't great. And when you look at the next view, like you can very well see that Van Noy is the pressure that gets Josh rattled. Once he turns his head to the right, he's like, okay, I got to get out of here or climb or something. So Van Noy and Spencer Brown, that is the root cause of this pressure. Obviously, there's a lot going to his left, but that is the reason he got so skittish. And if it wasn't for Josh Allen, this would have been a coverage sack. Like this was a great coverage on the back end. Really, no one's open. You can see Beasley gets picked up there by, I think that's Jalen Mills on the other side. And everyone's got someone on them. Like, yeah, you could make a throw there, but might as well take what you can get. And yeah, like I said, if this isn't Josh Allen, this is a coverage sack. This is a sack for a loss, but I'm pretty sure we got 2 yards on this.
Yeah. And that, Van Noy also does a great job of containing Josh Allen in the pocket. He doesn't let him escape to the right side, which is another huge thing here. But yeah, great hands by Van Noy, and Spencer Brown just loses the hand fight here, and he keeps on getting his wrists grabbed. It's really hard to say for some reason. But yeah, and then I mean, Josh makes a weird read. I don't know who he's looking at over there.
Yeah, I don't know
On
either.
the
I can't really
backside,
tell.
is there a route I think that comes in? Is it Dawson Knox?
No,
Maybe that
he ran a flat to the left.
Yeah, I'm just
That's
okay
Diggs on a dig. No pun
yeah,
intended.
as he's going upfield though, he's looking over to his left, and I don't know why, because if he's
That's
looking
probably
forward,
you're probably right. It's probably Knox who turned his flat into like a wheel or like out
yeah,
and up kind of thing.
yeah,
Um,
which is fine. It's but if Josh is looking forward there, he could probably see that he should go the other side of Darrell Williams and not directly into the defender
right,
where Darrell
exactly.
Williams is
Like there
pushing him,
was
and
a little
yeah,
bit more yards to be had, yeah, if he went to the
yeah,
back of his
but
blocker instead
that's
of
pretty
yeah.
minor, and it wasn't Darrell
Yeah.
Williams' fault, by the way, for anyone wondering. Darrell Williams was blocking that guy, and Josh ran into him. So
Yeah, this is fine. Like at this point, he's staying in front of him.
yeah,
He's
it's a
doing
broken
what he
play,
needs to
and they
do.
got a couple yards
Exactly.
on it. So
Yeah. All right, let's get to the last of Spencer Brown. Let me just make sure what play this is because I swapped with that other one. Oh, is this the same one? It's the same one. I know I have another one then. Anyways, I'll talk about this one. I hope I have the other one. Either way, the point is on this one, you can get a little bit of the good with the bad. Like this is the play that Josh escaped out to the right and scrambled. Oh, this is totally
this is the
the
scramble
early one.
play
Yeah, the
that I
scramble
used
play
for
from early.
Allen. Yeah, and the other one we
So
talked about was also on the Knox, the
right,
first
they're
Knox
very
pass
similar.
breakup. Yeah.
But yeah, this is really what we talk about a lot when we talk about tackle play, and it's when someone gets wide on you, you push them wider, you push them upfield, and you create a bigger pocket for your mobile quarterback to run through, or I guess
Yep.
more, you don't create a pocket, you create a run lane.
Yeah.
And that's what Judon does on this play by getting so wide. That being said, it is a 3-man rush. He's probably designed to go wide because it's a 3-man rush. But Spencer Brown does a good job trusting his athleticism. I'll pause it just after the initial set. He gets wide on his set, but he doesn't like really shuffle out too wide. He kind of gets squared with him where he is in position to defend the inside move and the outside speed rush. And once he gets the outside speed rush, like I said, he's perfectly in position and has the athleticism to continue pushing him upfield and the length to get his hands on him to continue pushing him upfield. So really all comes down for me to that positioning to start. And I think that's the name of the game with Spencer Brown moving forward in pass sets. He needs to find how to square himself up right there. Just square himself up with that pass rusher and leave himself in a perfect position to defend the inside rush or the outside rush because he has the athleticism and the length to defend both when he's in position.
Yeah, and I really like the athleticism. He gets his hips around quickly when he feels Judon going upfield, keeps a hand on him without holding him. Really good stuff to kind of get himself squared, like turn his body back so that he can drive him up the field like that. So yeah, that's something that he brings to the table that I don't even trust that Darrell Williams would be able to do that this year. We saw him do it last year, which is weird. Because he played so well. We saw him do this against TJ Watt last year.
Right.
But yeah, this is what he brings to the table with that athleticism and that length. And it's on full display here.
So I guess really what I'm trying to say here is with the rookie spotlight, like we still have some pieces here and it's not all bad. I know it's not great right now. It's kind of grim after a loss like that. Not getting passed on, but guys, like I don't think we learned anything new about the Patriots or the Bills. That was just a really weird game. We knew the Bills' weakness was running the football and run defense. We knew the Patriots' strength was running the football. Like it just made sense that the way the game played out the way it did. It's unfortunate it did. It's unfortunate we didn't make adjustments as quick as we could have. But now we just kind of need to keep moving forward and stack some wins together because really the variance that this team has showed, we can lose to anyone, we can beat anyone. We just got to get in the playoffs and give ourselves a chance.
Yeah, that's the same way that I feel. I mean, with the way the AFC is going, like I said, the Bills don't win a lot of tiebreakers at the moment, so the seeding doesn't matter. Get in as the 7th seed. Doesn't matter. Just get in.
Yeah.
Whoever you play is probably going to be at a very similar skill level, because I think everyone that's going to enter the playoffs for the AFC is going to have, first of all, virtually the same record. I think they're all going to have super similar records as they do right now. And all of those teams are going to have those weird games that they've lost, and then those amazing games that they've won, just like the Bills have. If there's any consolation, I guess, for the way that the Bills have been losing, every one of the games has been close except for the Colts game, every single one of their losses, and they were just 1 or 2 plays away from winning those games. Titans game, they're right in the red zone. Josh Allen slips. Jaguars game, Josh Allen throws 2 interceptions at bad timing when they could have scored points instead. What am I missing here?
I mean, the Patriots game, obviously.
The Patriots game,
2 other ones.
We could talk about 20 different things that they could have done that would have changed the outcome of the game.
The Steelers game, we had that game under control really until the second
Steelers game
half.
was blocked punt, and if the blocked punt doesn't happen, probably win that game. So weird stuff has happened. Weird plays happen against the Bills. They're not getting calls. I don't know. It's hard for me to say if we're getting less calls or than any other team in the NFL, because I don't watch any other team in the NFL as much as I watch the Bills. But it feels to me like they are missing so many obvious calls. The offsides when Josh gets them off, the freaking delay of game when you're supposed to, when it hits 0, look down.
Yeah, I did the frame by frame. Like the ball wasn't
if you
there
did it
once
on
it
the
hit
screen.
0.
Yeah, if you did it on the screen, like looked at the clock on the screen, even, which is right next to where the ball is being snapped from, I waited till it hit 0 and looked up, and the ball was in the air on the way to Josh Allen's hand. So I have no idea how they managed to screw that one up.
That was really
especially the way that it's been. It always, Aaron Rodgers, go watch him play. It'll be 0 when he snaps it multiple times in the game. And he also knows when they jump off sides like they did. So yeah, it's really tough. But it's the refs aren't an excuse, as much as it sucks to say.
Everyone's dealing with bad refs. That's
everyone's dealing with bad refs. Yeah, the refs suck for both teams, and the Bills got a couple bullshit calls like we talked about, where that was not a personal foul on Josh Allen out of bounds.
That was not at all.
But there were also a couple roughing the passers where the guys hitting him
fell on
into Josh Allen.
That's by
very clearly in the rules, and it was never called. So I don't understand it, but there's nothing we can do about it, and it's just something you have to play around and be better than. It shouldn't come down to a call by the ref. You should win by more than that to begin with. So that's why the refs are never an excuse. I mean, tough game coming up next week against the other guy that made our life misery, wearing the uniforms that we just saw on Monday. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not excited. Of the games that are remaining for the Bills, I think it's the one game that I am not confident in them winning, because they have a great run game. They have a great interior defensive line. And those are the 2 things that the Bills are not great at going against. And then it's, there's Tom Brady too, I guess. But yeah, so I'm not excited about this next game. If they win it, then the Bills are back. Because they can win every one of the rest of their games the rest of the season, including the Patriots the second time that they play them. I think I do think the Bills have the ability to win out. They're probably not going to. I think they drop at least one game. But if they do that, they're in the playoffs. So that's all they got to do. Just make the playoffs. Just win, baby.
Yeah, I'm definitely a little bit more excited for the Bucs game. I think it's a better matchup for us. Just the fact that we're not playing in Buffalo. I hate to say it. I really think we're better away. Here, I guess this is my segue. So this is kind of where I'm looking forward to next. So I got 2 comments here. Pave Dave, Brandon Beane didn't make the team better. He needs to do a better job this offseason. And Beane did make the team better, but specifically to beat the Chiefs. So those 2 things.
He beat the Chiefs.
He beat the Chiefs.
If that was his goal, he accomplished it.
Exactly. So,
but that shouldn't have been the goal.
Exactly. So this is my problem. Sean McDermott talks about it a lot. Easiest way to get to the playoffs and get a high seed in the playoffs is win your division. Chiefs are not in our division. He was building the team to win the Super Bowl. You have to
Mhm.
get to the playoffs to win the Super Bowl. He's not
Yeah.
leveraging himself for success by doing that. And I just think the team that he's constructed is built to win in a dome in Arizona, not in inclement weather in Buffalo. We can, cool. We can go 8-0 before the weather turns to shit in Buffalo. But then what happens? And I don't like the way that we have to rely on Josh Allen to win us games, because I think he can, but we don't have the pieces around him. Interior O-line, good running back play. I think we have adequate running back play and adequate interior O-line play, but we need to improve in those areas to take the pressure off Josh Allen in these winter burr months. I don't know. That's where I'm turning my attention. Obviously, the season isn't over. I still think we can make the playoffs. I don't want to tank to get a better draft pick or anything like that. I just think we really need to focus on those little things that are going to make our team more multiple and not totally lean into this pass offense. I think
Yeah.
that's what we have to do for the remainder of this season because of the team that we have. We have to lean into the passing offense. But moving forward into the next offseason, that's what I want to see, because that's what I was disappointed with this past offseason. We didn't get a one tech. We didn't get an early interior offensive lineman. We didn't get a running back. Not to say I was in on the first round running back, but those kind of things, that's what makes your offense, your entire team more multiple. And I don't think we did that this offseason. So that's what I'm looking forward to next offseason, but we're not there yet. So focus on the Bucs first.
Yeah, I agree. And obviously Brandon Bean and the scouts are focusing on the draft. They're focusing on their guys.
Yeah.
Because that's, once the trade deadline's over, it's scouting. So,
Yep.
yeah, I didn't like what he did in the draft. It felt like he played as if we didn't have any weaknesses when we did. And now those weaknesses are really, really showing. And mainly, in that interior of the offensive line and interior of the defensive line are the two areas where the Bills are lacking. So you got to go get those two guys in the first 4 rounds.
Yeah.
Sure, maybe if there's a guy that's a freak at a different position, you
Right.
pick
Yeah.
him up.
Then go for it. Absolutely.
Yeah,
But the
but
back-to-back offensive tackle, the
it's
back-to-back
just,
edge, it's that kind of thing where it's like
Yeah.
there are other places to add to this roster.
Yeah, and I think it's weird because we knew that interior offensive line was an issue. We didn't think, we had Darrell Williams, who played very well last season. So all we thought was, well, we need 2 guards, and they got Tommy Doyle in what, the 6th, the 7th. So
I think it was the 5th. I think that was our
actually
first pick in the 5th. Yeah, I think that was the Spencer Brown missing 4th round pick for the Stephon Diggs trade. Followed up with Tommy Doyle. So we went edge, tackle.
Yeah, that just doesn't make any sense to me. Because Doyle's a tackle. What am I thinking? But yeah, it just, yeah, they need to make their team more complete, and that's not what they did. So it's not over. There's too many pessimists in Bills Mafia, and I'm definitely not afraid to say that. The world is not over. The sky's not falling. It's not time to burn the house down yet. The Bills are still a good football team. They're sitting at 7-5 with a few games to go still and a good chance to still get into the playoffs. They have a good quarterback. They play good football. It's just sometimes they come up a few plays short, or a few, situations short, a few players not making one play short from getting victories. And that it stings, but it's proof that they can beat anybody. They just got to do it now at this point. And if there's any time to get hot, it's right now. The beginning of the season, it doesn't matter until this point. They could have gotten hot weeks 1 through 6 and then, blew it all away. So if they get hot right now and they carry that into the playoffs, that's important. So it starts with the Bucs, and hopefully they can get it done.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts from you, Kendall?
Nah, man, I went on all my rants.
Okay, good.
I got it all out.
Yeah, if you're looking for us on Twitter because you want to complain about how stupid we are, I'm over here at Clay Troya, and he's over here at Mursky Kendall. You can also go follow the Buffalo Fanatics on Twitter at BFLO Fanatics. That's BFLO Fanatics. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, become a member, all that good stuff. We are sponsored by NordVPN. You can go to thebfvpn.com and get yourself a great deal on a 2-year subscription. It's less than $4 a month. It's really good. And, that way you can protect your IP address. You can search the internet safely, and there's some cool stuff that you can do if you want to watch more football games through DAZN if you go to a Canadian server as well. So thank you for everyone who joined us. We had a decent amount of people in, and I really appreciate everyone in the chats. I'm glad that we had Patriots fans in here today, and it stayed very civil.
It did.
I will say there was not a lot of bickering or fighting. It got a little bit chippy at times, but it was pretty clean. So we appreciate you guys coming in and showing us a little bit of love. Thanks, Mike Gleason. I love NordVPN too. So go Bills. It's on to the Bucks. Until next time, go Bills.